I want to introduce Mary O'Connor, who's the Program Management Office Coordinator at Agile Defense. Mary is also finishing up the ACT-IAC Associates 2021 Leadership Development Program, which is how the two of us have met. So Mary, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Jeremy. I'm happy to be here.
So Mary, for those who have not had a chance to interact with you like I did over the last 8-9 months, talk about where you're from, who you are, and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Mary O'Connor. I'm from a small town in Virginia called Front Royal. I started in elementary school there, but finished out high school there. And following that, I went to George Mason. I always kind of knew that I wanted to get out of the small town, and but I didn't want to be too far from home. I wanted to still be close, but have a decent distance between the two. I chose George Mason mostly for that, for the distance, but also because I thought I wanted to be a journalist. So they had a decent communication program. So that's what I thought I wanted to be when I grew up. And then when I went to college and started taking communications classes, I kind of decided that that was not the route for me. I didn't really enjoy talking to people, cold calling people. That wasn't exactly my route, but I still enjoyed being kind of in the know and in something that was important. That's what I felt I wanted to do. So I stopped, I kind of shifted from journalism classes into more government, political classes, things of that nature. And I kind of thought at that point that I wanted to get into either a government job or a contracting field. And that was my goal. Of course, even though I was at George Mason and I felt that I was close to DC and a lot of opportunities there, nothing really worked out in college as far as like internships or anything like that. So when I graduated, I kind of regrouped. I ended up taking a job actually at a jail in Front Royal, not as an officer, more admin based, but I still felt that I was kind of helping people and making a difference. And that's something that meant a lot to me, and it's something that I wanted to find in a future position. So then thankfully, I actually fell into the role that I'm in now. One of my longtime friends since high school, we both grew up in the same town, Front Royal, and then she ended up moving to the same area, and she had a job at Agile Defense and she fell in love with it. And so she referred me to the position that I'm in, which I'm very thankful for, because it's not always easy to get in a job like that. So that was really helpful, and I've really enjoyed the position that I'm in now.
Wow, that's interesting. So number one, interesting that you worked at a jail. That's a nice, interesting fact that you can bring out at parties.
Yeah, definitely.
And it'd be even more interesting if you saw friends, but we won't get into that. So as you were trying to navigate, you said it was kind of difficult to, after you graduated, to find the right job in that sphere. Why is that, you think? Was it hard finding the right role, or was it just hard getting through that interview?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think sometimes even getting a foot in the door is difficult. A lot of people find positions similar to me because they're referred, and that there's nothing wrong with that. It just poses a challenge for people who may not have a strong network. And that was my biggest challenge, I think, was finding a place where I could even present my skills and show somebody that, what I would bring to the table.
So that kind of leads into, I think, my next question then. Through your own experience there, is that something you would think we should change? Should we balance that? I mean, we don't want to get rid of the referral, right? The referral's got, it's got its pros, it's got its cons, but it's got its pros. Do you think we should balance that, though, more so against the people who would apply for jobs, or is there something else that you've witnessed in your trying to kick this off that you might suggest we change and make it a little easier for people to find the right job?
That's really tough, because I agree. You don't want to get rid of the referral process, because if you have an employee that you trust, they bring in other people that they trust, and it kind of builds that network. But it is really tough. I guess looking back at my own path, what I would change, at least for myself, would have been involving myself in more networking opportunities, more programs like ACT-IAC or similar programs for college-age students to kind of build a network. Because I just struggle with networking in general. I find myself to be more of an introvert. I don't really enjoy, or I don't, I guess, lend myself to going out and building that network, but it has been so helpful, and it's something that I wish I had done more of when I was in college, and because I think it would have helped me more.
Yeah, it sounds like you would be a proponent of that at this point. And I would agree, ACT-IAC certainly helps, right? It's a large network of companies and government people. So I'm a big fan, as you know. Is there, so in terms of like your decisions in the classes, do you think now that you're in a role in that space you were targeted, that the education you did was right for the role?
Yeah, I definitely do. I did a global affairs course, or I guess course of study. So it wasn't specific government, it wasn't specific international relations. There was a little bit of both, and I was able to kind of tailor classes that I wanted to take, but also classes that, you know, were part of the program that would be helpful in this field. So I was able to take government classes, and I was also able to take a lot of language classes, which was kind of a requirement for the global affairs program, which I think has been helpful. You meet so many different people in those classes, and that was something that I enjoyed. I really enjoyed the global affairs program.
Nice. So what's next for Mary? What's your, you know, kind of midterm career goals, or you know, are you looking for different roles? Do you like what you do now? You want to keep doing that? What's next for Mary?
That's really tough, because that's something that has come up in the ACT-IAC program as well. Is where do you see yourself and how are you going to get there? And I'm not sure, because I felt like I've always been working towards something. So in, you know, high school, I really wanted to go to college, and in college, I really wanted to get a good job. And now that I'm here, I'm not sure what the next step is. I really do enjoy my job. I feel that I have like such a good balance. I'm able to help so many different people, and I'm not stuck in one rut or anything like that. Every day is different. My position in particular, I am a PMO coordinator, but we kind of rebranded ourselves into a team support office. So many different teams. So I can help functional groups like accounting or contracts, but I can also help different contractors actually in the field. And so there's so much to do that I'm not sure what I want to do. I know I want to grow, and I'm able to grow in this position. But other than that, I don't know what the next position would be.
Oh, maybe your network will call, and that'll be how you find it. You never know.
Definitely. I'm always interested in that.
All right. Well, Mary, I mean, this is an interesting conversation. Any other words of advice, since you've just gone through that college/career transition for others who are trying to figure that out, besides the networking thing? I guess maybe that's your number one.
Other than networking, I guess not being afraid to join programs and put yourself out there. That's something that I struggled with a lot. I wasn't really interested in joining clubs or participating in extracurricular programs, but that's something that I think is so valuable. And if I could go back and do it again, I would join more programs like that.
Fantastic. Well, that's great advice. And thank you, Mary, for coming on the podcast and for sharing a little bit about yourself. And we can't wait to see what the future has for you.
Thank you so much for having me.